guys, and welcome to Just Being Maddie. I'm Maddie, and today I am going to be doing part 2 of the apartment hunting videos that I've been doing. I don't really know what I'm calling this series. It's the second episode and I have no idea what I'm doing. So on that note, so for part 2, I want to kind of talk about the important questions. These are kind of the things that you know, the last video we talked about the questions they're going to ask you. Now it's your turn to ask them questions. I have narrowed it down to about 4 different questions. When I say about, it's kind of because one of the first things I always like to kind of just say is before you even go to an apartment, you should do your research. So you should kind of know some of these things already by looking on their website. But these are the 4 questions that are probably something very, very important that you should just ask. And that way you kind of have a set in stone answer. Bring a little notebook, write down the answers for every time that you ask these questions so that you know what you're getting yourself into. So as always, I have my handy dandy notebook right here. And let's get into the 4 questions that you should ask a leasing agent. So the first one is the basics. Price, size, location. So those are the things, those are the basics when you're asking about an apartment. Size of it, price of it, the location. A lot of times they can't tell you exactly where it is depending on what their rules are. So they might have a rule where they can't exactly point out the apartment, or they might be like, yeah, it's 2045, and you're like, oh, cool, and you can walk over and see it. A lot of times you can't actually see the apartment you're going to be moving into. You can see it in something similar. So keep that in mind as well. You might not get to see exactly the 2049 2-bedroom, 2-bath that you want, but you might get to see 2077, and that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's the exact same apartment, it's just you get to see that one and not the other one. Price, obviously, you don't want to go there. If you looked it up online, you should have a general idea of what they charge. General idea, by that I mean, if you see a price online that says $9.95, I got $100 to that price. Give yourself a little bit of okay, it says $12.35, maybe it's $13.35. Keep that in mind. The second one is what amenities are included. And by amenities, I mean things like, is a washer and dryer in the unit? Is the washer and dryer a laundry facility that you get access to? Is your pool 24/7 and free? Do you get to use the gym 24/7? Is ceiling fans? Some areas don't have them. Some areas don't have electricity in the ceiling because it's cheaper not to put lights in the ceiling when you build an apartment complex. So keep that in mind as well. Ask those questions. If you're looking around and you see there's a ceiling fan in the model they show you, does that mean that all of them have it? Ask that, because if you think it does, it might not actually have it. You might have to pay for it. And that can be an additional cost of things that you weren't expecting when you move in. So the third thing is regarding your lease. And if you guys are interested in more information about a lease, I could definitely do kind of questions and answers. So if you have any questions, leave them down below if you have questions about a lease. But in general, there are a couple things you should know when it comes to a lease. Your lease term. Now, a lease term can be anywhere from month to month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 19 months, 18 months, 24 months. It can be as long as they offer you. So if they offer you a 6-month lease, get a 6-month lease. If you ask for a shorter lease, you might have to pay an additional lease fee to have that shorter lease. So if you want a 3-month lease, you might have to pay $300 extra every month to get that 3-month lease. Is it worth it to you? Depending on your situation, it may or may not be. Lease terms also are helpful to know, so you know when your lease end date is. Knowing when your lease end date means that you know when about you'll be getting your lease renewal. And that'll kind of tell you if you're going to stay or go, depending on what they do for an increase. Or if they don't increase, depending on the area. Also, you should always look if they have a lease break fee. Lease break fees are probably one of the nicest things that a lease will put in for you. Because if you for some reason say you moved into this beautiful apartment, you got this awesome job, you're loving your life, and you have a family emergency and you have to move across the country. And you've lived there for 4 months and you got a 12-month lease. Shit, what do you do? What are you supposed to do? If you don't pay, it's called a skip, and it can affect your credit it will affect your credit, and it will also affect your rental history, and you might not be able to rent an apartment in the future. So what do? Some states allow people to lease, personally sublease. Some states don't. Check your actual lease if it allows it or not, or ask your leasing agents. Also, you can always check the lease break fee. Now, the lease break fee is usually high. Not gonna lie, it's usually high. It's usually, the fee itself is probably 2 times your monthly rent, 1 to 2 times, depending on the area, plus 1 to 2 additional months of rent. So, say it was 2 times your $1,000. We'll use 1,000 again because that's the easiest math I can do. So we'll say 1,000, and it's 2 times your monthly rent, so that's 2,000, plus 2 full months of rent, and that includes water, sewer, trash, tax. So keep that in mind. And also always ask about tax because some places have tax. So little tidbit there. The fourth thing is fees, which would wrap me into that tax. You should always make sure that what the tax is in the area, because property tax does actually affect apartments. So in certain areas, it's 1.8%, 1.75, 1.7, depending on your area. It might be 1.5, it might be no property tax. It really just depends on the area. Pet, if you have a pet, that is going to be fees. Just keep that in mind. I would love to have a dog. I would love to have a dog. My boyfriend's watching this, I'd want a dog. But a dog or a cat come with fees. So a dog or a cat could be $25 to $35 a month per animal. So you could have probably up to 2 is usually what they max it at. 2, 3. So say you have a dog, that's $25 plus tax. So we'll use 1.75%, that'd be 44 cents. So you have that dog, then you've got the deposit and the non-refundable deposit. So some areas will have both a deposit and a non-refundable. Non-refundable is kind of like an application fee. It's kind of how I like to describe it. So if you have this dog, you have to pay to have it live there, kind of like you have to pay to put in your application. And then you would also have your deposit, which is something you could get back as long as there were no damages caused by the dog or the cat. Other things are like valet trash. That's a big thing in this area where they will actually, you pay, it can be like $25, $35, $40 a month, and you put your trash outside and they pick it up for you. You are obligated to pay that even if you do not use the service in most scenarios. Parking, if you get a carport with your apartment, some places will allow you to purchase another one, or you might not get any and you have to purchase them to, if you want one, it might be $25, $15 a month. That's an additional fee. Pest control, that can be, I think with where I live currently, it's $1 every time I pay my rent. And I can use it anytime I want. $1 is fine. If it's $5, it's just nice to know the little tiny things that they're charging you, because you don't think of the little things when you're signing a lease and you're excited and you're moving in and everything is exciting, and then you found it was $1,000 and you get your bill and it's $1,165, and you're like, huh? What? No. So keep that in mind. It's also good just to kind of keep in mind that every area is slightly different. So always just kind of ask, what's included in my rent? And if they're like, oh, that's your base rent, then ask the question, what additional fees do I have to pay? That right there will get you that list by list of what you will have to pay as well. And they can usually give you an estimate for water, sewer, trash in some areas. Some areas they don't know, and they'll flat out tell you, I don't know, it's based on your usage. It's based on your usage, that's better, because some people don't use as much water as other people. But yeah, that was a little bit of a rant. I apologize. So the top 4 things that you should ask questions are the basics: size, price, etc. Second, what amenities are included. The third, my lease term and lease information. Fourth, fees. What else do I have to pay on top of my rent? So keep those 4 questions in mind, and I think you'll do great when you're hunting for that apartment. If you have any questions about hunting for an apartment or anything in particular that you would like me to chat more about, leave that in the comments below. I would love to answer your questions. And if you have any anything else, leave it down below. Let me know if you're living in your first apartment and anything that surprised you that you moved in and you're like, I thought we were gonna have a fridge. I don't know, you should probably have one of those. That would be something crazy. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, bye.